Well, at this time, William has now completed all political lessons, and he's even completed the strategic lessons of introduction of warfare. Now, at the time, um, the Lord Instructor goes before the Queen, and she tells him to step forward. And so, from the view in back of her, he bows before her and hands her a scroll, or at least Masandi, who then takes it to her and she reads it. She seems well delighted in this, and again has this very nice, smiling, sensual look on her face, because again, this is another achievement that William has made. And she knows now this is the time where she comes in. She has to test him to see if he has truly learned everything there needs to be learned. So this then will come up very soon, because she wants to see, by letting him look at her strategic map, what he can amaze her with. And this will also, not that she has any doubts, prove to her once and for all that he is the chosen one, not the one she would marry, but the one to lead her to the ultimate victory ever. Not just for 3 days, not for a week, but for all time, having the Iron Throne of Swords for the realm of the kingdom. In the meantime, there is an honorary dinner banquet. She gets him a gift, a very special outfit, and lo and behold, it actually has um, the colors of the mother dragons, and he is just so amazed by this. So he knows he has to get ready, but beforehand, she must test him. So this becomes the interesting detail as to how he passes the test, as she also tends to want to see if he can stay focused if she was to do something that William might consider to be naughty. So this now becomes his test. In the test, she waits for William to show up, and when he does, she looks at him in a stern way and lets him know that while she enjoys his company, this is a time to be serious, especially because her knights are present, and there's a time and a place for everything, and now's not the time or the place for William to show her affections, or uh, to be somewhat romantic with her. William understands and accepts this, and so she informs him this is a test of his abilities to see what he has learned. So he comes around to the table so that he'll be coming up on her right as she watches him carefully. And so he's looking in the map, and everything's quiet. And she decides to do something which totally catches William off guard, which either was her intention, or because she's a queen, she pretty much can get away with anything. And so as William's studying the map, he takes out a little bag of smaller carvings of the gifts of knowledge he had made for her, and he asks her if he's allowed to move anything on the map. She says that he does have permission to do this. So he places each of the pieces that represent the larger scale gifts of knowledge that were built for her, and then he looks at the other pieces that she has. And as he's doing so, she looks down and, with a slight grin of naughtiness, reaches out and tweaks him on his right butt cheek. And he's like, "I!" hits the table suddenly. The knights look at each other as if there was something wrong with him, look quickly back at him, and he recovers, to her satisfaction, his composure. I think I see where the enemy could actually have a way of overcoming us, but this is where I shall move pieces on the map to show where we will block them off at the pass. So he remained composure, although he's almost wanting to be flush. Daenerys, of course, finishes walking from behind him, almost having trouble trying to keep a straight face as herself, as she enjoyed the fact that he has a well-rounded, firm bottom. Poor William, feeling almost embarrassed, but doesn't very good as hard as he does to not let this show on his facial expressions. Otherwise, the knights attending the meeting might kind of figure something happened between her and William just now. Once he has the pieces all set out, she then looks at him. You did well. Please go ahead and sit in the next room over, and I will call you when I am finished reviewing what you have done. So William does. He goes to the next room, which is like a lounge area, and so she discusses things with the knights, and the knights seem intrigued by how he's put certain pieces in certain places. So they all agree to this tactic that William has set up in the event that an invasion is to start, or should they be fortunate enough not be invaded, that they would start out their path to leading her to the victory of having the throne for the realm of the kingdoms, as she was intended to have. So with the meeting over and William sees the knights leaving, she then calls William in, and sitting at the chair has this big smile on her face. And William's kind of a little bit worried. I did something wrong, didn't I? And she shakes her head no, and apologized to William for pinching his bottom, but that informs him, kind of makes sure nobody's listening, that she did enjoy the firmness of his bottom, and that he did well keeping his composure in not letting on what had happened, because this proved another test as well, that he could stay focused in regards to distractions. Overall, though, his tactical maneuvering of warfare has passed, and she is well pleased with how things turned out. So with that, then she dismisses him after she gives William a quick kiss on the lips, and looking somewhat to her right as he's leaving, with a smile on her face, talks to Miss Sandy about what she did, feeling a bit guilty that she did this to poor William, but how she's proud of the fact that he passed both tests. The concentration, which was the main reason she did this to him, and the fact that he has demonstrated learning tactical skills. So then, once she is done discussing things with Missandei, she then goes to get herself ready for the banquet that she is throwing in his honor for having taken all courses and with nothing else to learn. The banquet went well, and she looked William over from head to toe and just likes the way he's dressed and the outfit that she bought for him. And he, in turn, loves the way she's dressed in her dress that he had bought her at the time when he showered her with many gifts. And so it's like she's in a ballroom gown, and tells her that in his world this is what it would be called. She likes the color of purple, and so the banquet goes quite well. He gets to do a dance with Sansa, as stated before, and catches Missandei off guard, and she permits this. And in fact, Missandei feels that William and Daenerys had this plan, and dances with her in her dress that he had gotten her at the time of the honeymoon. Once that's done, there is a part that comes up, and of course, again, this is based on series 7 and or 8, because we don't know for certain what becomes of Littlefinger. Queen Margie, also, depending on how 7 and 8 turns out, as to whether she actually was saved by Queen Miri from the Lost Pages of Time, stands by as a witness for what William has to offer him. In the meantime, once that is done, you can see that they definitely represent the love of two dragons. And he gets to dance with Daenerys, though she be taller than him, and they make quite the spectacle of themselves, and she loves the way that she gets all the attention, not only for the human husband that she married historically for the Targaryen history of her house, but for the fact that, though she did throw this in his honor, that they make quite the couple. And so this then concludes the banquet after some time, as William confirms with her that she is ready now for the blood mixing ritual. In the starting of the ritual, they're both in their robes, and William then, of course, is ready to get undressed as she is. They both stand at the end of the firewalk, which to William at first is kind of somewhat scary, because this fire that she's walked through is much higher than that of walking coals of fire. The only good news is not 14 feet, but even at best of only being 5 to 8 feet, which would almost be the circumference of the hut that she had burned down with the Dothraki's leaders who thought they were going to have their way with her. It's still quite the scary walk for him. But after taking his hand, she assures him that he has nothing to be afraid, and this aura that she has as the Mother Dragons will protect him. So they go through the fire, 1 foot at a time, arm in arm, and though he hears the roaring and crackling of the fire as he's walking through with her, keeps his thoughts from being filled with fear or anything like that, and does at certain points feel certain hot spots on his body, but doesn't do or make any movements or motions that could cause it to be worse. By the time they clear the fire, they are applauded for this maneuvering, and then their hands are tied together once both their hands are cut, and they first hold the hands over her breast so that the blood, as they mix, grip in the cleavage of her breast. Then they hold their hands out as if they were doing a dance, so that distinctively 3 drops fall to the ground. By this time, William's feeling really dizzy because, again, her blood being with the element of iron mixing with his of the element of copper, though it is kind of theorized that it could be poisonous to a human, causes him to almost want to collapse, but her being stronger keeps William from falling. Once this is done, then she sits him in a chair. After his robe is put on, she puts her robe on. William makes the funny comment that after he looking down is feels disappointed, and she, of course, wants to know what's making William not feel so good. And he kind of states that he's lost hair somewhere. It becomes kind of an erotic, funny moment as she looks down, and then, where nobody else can see, opens her robe and says something to the effect that, "And you were disappointed about this, why?" And of course, what she means is that, well, obviously, if she doesn't have any, why would it be a problem for him not to have any? So he kind of recollects, yeah, that could cause extra sensitivity during their lovemaking, and pretty much is dismissed. And so once they get back to the other chambers that were blocked off at the time he was touring the palace, she puts special ointment on him around his pole to take out the burn effect, because unfortunately the heat must have either melted or burned it off. Fortunately for William, nothing seriously got burned, so thus no more pain, and they then ravage each other with much lovemaking. And even though she might think he would ask her for something, she doesn't even wait for him to ask. She just gives him what he's always asked her for, of the golden waters that flow within the Mother Dragon. So it becomes quite the erotic night. Now that her spirit's recharged, and symbolically, again, because symbolism being everything, he has shared freely the spirit of Dragonsphere to mingle in her blood. This then revamps her courage and her abilities to be a great queen on the throne, especially for the Iron Throne of the Realm of the Kingdoms, because she doesn't need her dragons to be a great queen, even though they are allowed to fly about freely. And whether she has 2, based on whatever Season 7 or Season 8 turn out, or all 3, and she will still be the great powerful queen, known as the Supreme Queen over the Realm of the Kingdoms. William then, in the meeting room, shows her a design of a better warning system based on the ancient cultures of his world, the dark blue star that shines so brightly in the Galarian night sky. She looks him over and finds this well-pleasing, and again seems to be well stimulated and aroused that William would continue to amaze her. So now he's done his part as the male dragon symbolically to defend her and protect her of invasion by installing and improving her kingdom that she's in now with a warning system that anyone doing guard duty or some kind of posting during the night, or even during the daytime, can sound out an alarm throughout the kingdom, and thus a horn, once that alarm has sounded, would have been blown, and thus give many an alert of any approaching enemies charging for an invasion. So, upon her command, William goes to get this thing started. Then she discusses with Missandei how she is quite amazed that she seems to have chosen well, though he be human and low in stature, maybe no longer frail since the veil of passing. Missandei agrees to this, and sees great things in William, and that many are going to soon fall in love with William as well, though he is a human, once a myth and a legend. And so, thus would end this part of Game of Thrones 2, Khaleesi's Dragon Spirit.